there, Jessica here once again. Welcome back to GED On Language Arts. I will be leading you through chapters 7 and 8. If at any time you feel like you need to pause the video, please feel free to do so. You can always return back to where you last left off in the video. This program was designed to follow along with the book. Therefore, if you're ready for the challenge to take on first chapter 7, let's get started. Hope I don't make you fall asleep. As a reminder, we'll be using the Kaplan GED Test Prep Plus 2020 book for this and all videos offered through the GED On platform. You can find links below to purchase the book at your local store or online. We'll be starting our 7th video by covering Unit 1, Reasoning Through Language Arts, Chapter 7, Polishing Your Writing. Chapter 7 will be covering lessons 1 through 3, starting on page 172 of the Kaplan book. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's begin Lesson 1, Strengthen Sentences. Revising unclear and incorrect sentences. When you write your response, your first step is to get your ideas down. This means that you will need to do a pre-writing and drafting plan, like the ones on pages 146 through 163. When you finish drafting, go back and reread what you have written. When you reread each sentence, ask yourself, do the ideas in the sentence make sense? If not, how can I make the sentence clear? Do I need to add some words? Do I need to remove or change some words? Do I need to insert or delete punctuation? Is the sentence structure correct? If not, how can I correct it? It is important that you reread your work as a whole to make sure that it is clear and logical. Now, let's go to our very first written example found on page 172. At this time, we ask that you please pause the video and read the following paragraph with unclear and incorrect sentences for example 1. As you read the following paragraph, think about how you would revise it and fix the errors. Once you're done reading the paragraph, please restart the video so that you can see the revised paragraph with no errors. Here's the same paragraph you just read but revised with correct sentence structure and no errors. As you can see, in the second sentence, we added a comma after the word outside and in front of the word you. In the third sentence, we removed the word to and just have the word smell towards the end of the sentence. In the fifth sentence, we revised it to say, when you sit in a climate-controlled cubicle, you don't know whether the sky is sunny or cloudy. In the sixth sentence, we added the word and in front of the word that in the sentence. In the seventh sentence, we removed the comma and have at a desk and typing all day long. In the last sentence, we removed the period after the word relaxing and placed a comma instead. This is an example of a revised paragraph that had errors in the sentence structure and punctuation. When revising your sentences on paper, use the following revision marks below. To delete a word or punctuation mark, cross it out. To add a word or punctuation mark, insert a caret in the line where you want it to go and then write it above the line. To change your word, cross it out and write the new word above it. To move a word or phrase, circle it and draw an arrow to its new position. To capitalize a letter, draw 3 lines under it. Now that we've finished our first lesson, let's move on to practice 1 found on page 173. Before you start on practice 1, I would advise that you have a pen or pencil and sheet of paper next to you So you can answer the following two questions. Our first question states, first write down what you know about your family, then interview relatives. How would you revise this sentence using revision marks? You would revise this sentence as shown here. First write down what you know about your family, then interview relatives. So you can see here we have a caret after the word family to insert a period, and 3 lines under the letter T in the word then. Therefore, you would rewrite this sentence as, first, write down what you know about your family, period. Then, with a capital T, interview relatives, period. Our second question states, videotaping or to record the interviews is a good idea. How would you revise this sentence using revision marks? You would revise this sentence by crossing out the words to record and rewriting the sentence as, videotaping or recording the interviews is a good idea, period. You may now pause the video and complete questions 3 to 10 and practice 1B. Click play when you're ready to continue. Welcome back. We're now moving to Lesson 2, Improve Organization. Revising problems in organization. When you reread your response, you may also need to make changes in organization to make the response clear to the reader. When you reread your response, ask yourself, is my main idea clear? Are there a clear introduction, body of support, and conclusion? Is the paragraph correct? Does each paragraph relate to only one main idea? Should any paragraphs be split into 2? Should any be combined? Does each paragraph have a topic sentence that tells the main idea? Are any of the other sentences in a place that doesn't make sense? Are there any irrelevant details that should be removed? Does the writing flow smoothly from sentence to sentence and from paragraph to paragraph? If not, where can I add transitions? Now, let's go to our second written example found on page 174. At this time, we ask that you please pause the video and read the following paragraph with problems in organization for example 2. As you read the following paragraph, think about how you'd correct the errors in organization. Once you're done reading the paragraph, please restart the video so you can see the revised paragraph with no errors in organization. As you can see, the revised paragraph is now divided into 2 paragraphs, an introduction paragraph and a body paragraph about phone use. In the revised paragraphs, the transition word, however, was added to the first paragraph. A topic sentence marked with an asterisk was also added. Sentence 8 of the original paragraph, which was not related to telephones, was deleted. When revising essay organization, use the following symbols. To change whole sentences, use the same marks you use to change words. To start a new paragraph, use the paragraph symbol. Now that we've finished our second lesson, let's move on to practice 2 found on page 175. Before you start on practice 2, I would advise that you have a pen or pencil and sheet of paper next to you so that you can revise the following paragraphs. Using the revision marks, revise the presented paragraphs. You can see that one revision has been made for you with the paragraph symbol. If you need to pause the video, please do so and restart the video again when you're ready to continue. Once you're done revising the paragraphs, you will see revised paragraphs with revision marks on them. As you can see, here are the revised paragraphs with revision marks. We added another paragraph symbol next to the word another and crossed out a sentence that started with the words low self-esteem. You may now pause the video and complete practice 2B. Click play when you're ready to continue. We are now moving on to Lesson 3, Word Choice. After you have written and revised your response, you will need to edit it. In the editing stage of the writing process, you check for correct grammar, usage, and word choice. Word choice is an important part of writing. There are several aspects of word choice to look at when you are editing: using precise words, avoiding wordiness, and avoiding slang. People often use vague terms when they are speaking. They say things like, "It was a great party," or "The weather's nice today." General words like "great" and "nice" are okay in conversation. However, in writing, you should write precise words that create a clear picture for the reader instead of vague ones. For example, a sentence with vague words would say, "Tim took a long hike in the beautiful mountains." The way you would write this sentence with precise words would be, "Tim took a 12-mile hike in the rocky, snowy mountains." It is also helpful if you write concisely and avoid wordiness. Being brief helps the reader focus on your message. For example, a sentence that's too wordy would say, "Tim's dream and the thing he hopes for most of all is to make a home for himself and live in a cabin in the woods." A way you would write this sentence more concise would be, "Tim's most cherished dream is to live in a cabin in the woods." Finally, avoid using slang when writing your essay. Even though some people sometimes use informal language when speaking, essay writing calls for more formal language. For example, we have a sentence with slang that says, "Tim is going to hit the road at 7 tonight." A way you would write this sentence with more formal language would be, "Tim is going to leave town at 7 tonight." Now that we've finished our third lesson, let's move along to practice 3 found on page 177. The first question states, Families International is a nonprofit organization that does not make any money. How would you rewrite this sentence with more appropriate language? The correct way you would write this sentence is, Family International is a nonprofit organization. The second question states, we give aid to many children in the third world every year. How would you rewrite this sentence with more appropriate language? The correct way you would rewrite this sentence is, we give aid to thousands of children in the third world every year. You may now pause the video and complete questions 3 to 5, practice 3B, and practice 3C. Click play when you're ready to continue. Welcome back once again. We will now be covering Unit 1, Reasoning Through Language Arts, Chapter 8, Using Grammar Correctly. Chapter 8 will be covering lessons 1 through 3, starting on page 182 of the Kaplan book. So let's get started. Let's begin Lesson 1, Noun and Pronoun Agreement. Using nouns and pronouns. A noun names a person, such as a woman or Anne, a place, such as drugstore Florida, a thing, such as a car or Titanic, or an idea, truth, or Buddhism. A proper noun refers to a specific person, place, thing, or idea. A common noun is more general. For example, Anne is a proper noun, woman is a common noun. A pronoun is a word that replaces a noun. The antecedent is the noun that is being replaced, as shown below. The example here states, Stephen lost his address book. It held many important phone numbers. The antecedent is address book, and the pronoun is the word it. There are three types of pronouns: subject, object, and possessive. A subject pronoun replaces the subject of a sentence. For example, the following sentence states, Stephen called home. He was very worried. Stephen is the subject. The word he is the subject pronoun. An object pronoun replaces the object of a verb or of a preposition. For example, the following sentence says, his wife called Stephen. She asked him what the problem was. The word him is the object pronoun or the object of a verb. Another example would be, she and Stephen looked for it. The word it is the object pronoun or the object of a preposition. A possessive pronoun replaces a possessive noun. For example, the following sentence says, Stephen needed Kelly's number. He called 401 to get her number. Kelly's is the possessive noun. The word her is the possessive pronoun. To help you remember the three types of pronouns, please use the following chart. If you would like to pause the video to review the chart, please feel free to do so. Click play when you're ready to continue. Avoid making these mistakes with pronouns in compound subjects and objects. For example, an incorrect pronoun in compound subject would be Linda and me went to the movies. The correct way you would write this sentence would be Linda and I went to the movies. Another example of an incorrect pronoun in compound object would be we saw Kareem and he at the theater. The correct way you would write the sentence would be we saw Kareem and him at the theater. Now that we've gone over using nouns and pronouns, let's move on to practice 1.1 found on page 183. The first question says, Lori and Paul just moved to California. What pronoun would you use to replace the underlying noun? The correct pronoun that you would use in the sentence would be they just moved to California. The second question says, a neighbor told Lori and Paul that saving water was important there. What pronoun would you use to replace the underlined noun? The correct pronoun that you would use in the sentence would be a neighbor told Lori and him that saving water was important there. You may now pause the video and complete questions 3 to 8. Click play when you're ready to continue. Pronoun, antecedent, agreement. Pronouns should agree with their antecedents or the nouns they refer to. This means that a pronoun should match its antecedent and person and number. For example, if the antecedent is singular, the pronoun should be singular. If the antecedent is plural, the pronoun should be plural. As shown in the examples below, our first sentence says, Andy's company is very progressive. It pays for his college classes. The word company is the singular antecedent. The word it is the singular pronoun. Our next example says, many employees want to learn more skills, so they take classes. The word employees is the plural antecedent, and the word they is the plural pronoun. Our other example is the following sentence that's incorrect that says, any employee who is interested should submit their application. The correct way you would write this sentence would be, any employee who is interested should submit his or her application. Note that for collective nouns, such as company, jury, family, team, committee, union, you generally use the singular pronoun it. A pronoun and its antecedent must agree in person. To agree, they both must be first person, referring to the speaker, second person, the person spoken to, or third person, the person or thing spoken about. You can see this in the chart below. As you can see in the chart, we have first person, second person, and third person. Let's start with first person, as the words they have in that column says, I, me, my, mine, we, us, our, ours. For second person, the words are you, your, and yours. And lastly, for third person, the words are he, him, his, she, her, hers, it, its, they, them, their, and theirs. The infinite pronoun one is like a third person personal pronoun. A common error in writing, and one that is tested on the Reasoning Through Language Arts test, is an incorrect shift between the third person one and the second person you. Therefore, for example, the following sentence here that's an incorrect shift states, if one attends college classes, you can be reimbursed. A correct way that you can write the sentence would be, if one attends college classes, one can be reimbursed. Another way you would correctly write this sentence would be, if you attend college classes, you can be reimbursed. Now that we have reviewed pronoun, antecedent agreement, let's move on to practice 1.2 found on page 185. The first question states, Sally is moving to a small town. Her mother's concerned about the health care options they offer. Now take a look at the sentence and see if there's any errors that need to be corrected. If so, please rewrite the sentence or write C if there are no errors. The correct answer would be rewriting the sentence as, Sally is moving to a small town. Her mother's concerned about the healthcare options it offers. The second question states, Sally tried to reassure her mother, but it was hard for her to believe her. Take a look at the sentence and see if there's any errors that need to be corrected. If so, please rewrite the sentence or write C if there are no errors. The correct answer would be rewriting the sentence as, Sally tried to reassure her mother, but it was hard for her mother to believe her. You may now pause the video and complete questions 3 through 9. Click play when you're ready to continue. Welcome back. We're now moving to Lesson 2, Verb Forms and Tenses. Regular verbs. An important part of writing correctly is using the right verb forms. A verb is a word that indicates action or being. Each verb has a base form and 4 other forms. A regular verb follows a consistent pattern to create each verb form. Let's now take a look at the table below to view the base form of the word look. As you can see here in the table, the present tense, the verb form for look would be look/looks. And how you would write it would be with I, you, we, and they. And it would be using the base form. With the words he, she, it, you would add S to the base form. For present participle, the verb form would be looking, and how you would write it would be adding ing. For past tense, the verb form would be looked, and how you would write it would be adding ed or d if the verb ends with e. Lastly, for past participle, the verb form would be looked, and how you would write it would be adding ed or d if the verb ends with e. The forms are used to create different verb tenses or times. The table below shows how verb tense and form are related. As you view the table, notice that when you use certain tenses, you must also use a helping verb, often a form of be or have. If you need a few minutes to view the table, please feel free to pause the video. Once you're ready to restart, please click play. Be aware that sentences often contain clues that tell you which tense to use. Time words and phrases like yesterday or last week show that the past should be used. Tonight and next month indicate the future. And by tonight, since 2000, and for 7 years indicate the perfect tenses. Other verbs in a sentence can be clues, such as I look at the newspaper whenever I get the chance. Finally, verbs in other sentences also can be clues. The verbs in a paragraph or passage are generally in the same tense. Now that we learned about regular verbs, let's view practice 2.1, found on page 187. Before you start on practice 2.1, I would advise that you have a pen or pencil and a sheet of paper next to you so you can answer the following 2 questions. Our first question says, by the 1950s, Ellis Island, blank, ceased to be an important immigration checkpoint. How would you rewrite this sentence using the correct tense? You would rewrite this sentence in its correct tense by writing, by the 1950s, Ellis Island had ceased to be an important immigration checkpoint. Our second question says, the government blank closed Ellis Island to immigration in 1954. How would you write this sentence in its correct tense? You would write this sentence in its correct tense by writing, the government closed Ellis Island to immigration in 1954. You may now pause the video and complete questions 3 to 10. Click play when you're ready to continue. Irregular verbs. Most verbs are regular verbs. Their past and participle forms follow the same pattern. Some verbs, however, are irregular verbs. Although some irregular verbs follow a pattern, most do not. A common error with irregular verbs is using the past participle in place of the past. For example, I've been there instead of I was there. Below are some tips for learning the forms of irregular verbs. If you find two verbs that rhyme in the present form, for example, grow and throw, check to see if they have the same forms in the past and past participles, such as grew, grown, threw, and thrown. If so, learn them together. Learn which verbs follow the IAU pattern, such as sing, sang, sung, drink, drank, drunk, sink, sink, sunk. However, be aware that there are exceptions, such as bring and brought. Here's a list of a few common irregular verbs. As seen here, you can see we have present form, past form, and past participle form. For the words am, are, is in present form, the past form would be was and were. The past participle form would be been. The word become in present form, the past form would be became, and the past participle form would be become. For the word begin in present form, the past form would be began, and the past participle form would be begun. The word blow in present form, in past form would be blew, and in past participle form would be blown. For the word break in present form, the past form would be broke, and the past participle form would be broken. The word bring in present form, in past form would be brought, and in past participle form would be brought. For the word buy in present form, the past form would be bought, and the past participle form would be bought. You can find the whole list of common regular verbs on page 188 of your book. Now that we've finished going over irregular verbs, let's start on practice 2.2 found on page 189. Before you start on practice 2.2, I advise that you have a pen or pencil and a sheet of paper next to you so you can answer the following two questions. Our first question says, yesterday the technician blank come to resolve the problem once and for all. What would be the correct form of the verb shown in parentheses? The correct form of the verb shown in parentheses would be, yesterday the technician came to resolve the problem once and for all. The second question says, school employees blank show him the boiler. What would be the correct form of the verb shown in the parentheses? The correct form of the verb shown in the parentheses would be, school employees showed him the boiler. You may now pause the video and complete questions 3 through 8. Click play when you're ready to continue. We're now moving on to Lesson 3, Subject-Verb Agreement. Agreement with a simple subject. In present tense, subjects and verbs must agree in number. To understand the basics of subject-verb agreement, view the chart below. Notice that the present tense verbs take an S ending when they are used with the pronoun subjects he, she, and it, or their noun equivalents. Collective nouns are usually singular even though they may seem plural. A collective noun names a group such as army, crew, crowd, staff, family, herd, or flock. Examples of this would be, the army is a good place to learn discipline, or the church choir sings each Sunday. Some nouns that end in S may look plural, but in fact, they are not. For example, the following sentence says, politics is an interesting topic. Indefinite pronouns do not refer to a specific person. Some indefinite pronouns are singular, some are plural, and some may be either. To understand indefinite pronouns, view the chart below. As you can see, for singular, some indefinite pronouns would be anyone, everyone, someone, no one, anybody, everybody, somebody, nobody, anything, everything, something, nothing, another, other, either, neither, each, and much. For plural, some indefinite pronouns would be many, several, few, and both. For singular or plural, the indefinite pronouns would be all, none, some, any, part, and most. Now that we've gone over agreement with a simple subject, let's move along to practice 3.1, found on page 191. The first question says, the public, parentheses is are, invited to listen free of charge. What would be the correct verb to complete this sentence? The correct verb to complete this sentence would be, the public is invited to listen free of charge. The second question says, free tickets, parentheses becomes, comma, become, available 1 hour before the performance. What would be the correct verb to complete this sentence? The correct verb to complete this sentence would be, free tickets become available 1 hour before performance. You may now pause the video and complete questions 3 through 9. Click play when you're ready to continue. Agreement with a compound subject. A compound subject is made up of 2 or more subjects joined by and or. When 2 or more subjects are joined by and, the compound subject is plural. For example, Tricia and her sister are caring for their mother. If 2 subjects are joined by or, the verb agrees with the subject closer to it. For example, a health aide or a nurse visits each day. When subjects are joined by either, or neither, nor, the verb agrees with the subject closer to it. For example, neither the sisters nor their brother has medical training. Interrupting words. Sometimes a word or group of words comes between the subject and the verb. In that case, locate the subject and mentally cross out the interrupter, then make the verb agree with the subject. For example, the following sentence says, The medicine is on a high shelf. The word medicine is the subject. The word is the verb. And the interrupter are the words prescribed by the doctors that are crossed out. Interrupting phrases often begin with prepositions such as of, in, on, from, with, to, and for. For example, the following sentence says, a pile rests in the front hallway. The word pile is the subject, the word rests is the verb, and the interrupter are the words of medical supplies that are crossed out. Interrupting phrases may be set off by commas. Watch for phrases beginning with the words along with, as well as, besides, and in addition to. Inverted structure. An inverted structure is when the subject comes after the verb. Most questions and sentences that begin with here or there are inverted. Examples of this would be, does the pharmacy have enough medicine to fill the prescription? Or, here are the hospital supplies that Tricia ordered. Another example that actually would be incorrect would be, what is Tricia and her family going to do? The correct way you would write this sentence would be, what are Tricia and her family going to do? Now that we've finished learning more about agreement with a compound subject, let's move forward to practice 3.2 found on page 193. The first question states, many toothpastes on the market, parentheses, carries a seal of approval from the American Dental Association. What would be the correct verb to complete this sentence? Please underline it. If the sentence contains an interrupting phrase, cross out the interrupter. The correct verb to complete this sentence would be carry. And you would cross out the interrupter for the words on the market. And the sentence would be rewritten as, many toothpastes carry a seal of approval from the American Dental Association. You may now pause the video and complete questions 2 through 9. Click play when you're ready to continue. Fantastic job, everyone! You've completed chapters 7 and 8. I know this video was a bit long with tons of information, but you have to continue on with the very last chapter, Language Arts. The next video will cover Unit 1, Reasoning through Language Arts, Chapter 9, Using Writing Mechanics. Hope to see you in our last video!